If you assert your wants and needs in a relationship with an avoidant, chances are the avoidant feels controlled. This goes back to childhood when the avoidant was emotionally neglected by their parents or caretakers. This emotional neglect can actually come in a couple different forms. It can come as just straight up neglect, where they were not nurtured, their feelings were dismissed, and they learned that the only person they can rely on for their emotional needs is themselves. But it can also come in the form of engulfment, when they have a parent that excessively controls their life. This is actually a form of emotional neglect because they're forced into a role where they have to appease the parent while not having their own emotions nurtured, and this can feel smothering. Both of these scenarios can result in a person that has this sense of hyper-independence, that they can only rely on themselves, and that if they actually get emotional intimacy in a relationship, that is going to lead to them losing their independence. And because of their childhood wounds, they've also associated emotional closeness with abandonment. So they're going to lose their independence to a person that is ultimately going to reject and abandon them. It is all fear-based. But even the simplest of requests can actually seem quite controlling to an avoidant, especially if it's a dismissive avoidant or a fearful avoidant that leans heavily on the dismissive side. Requests like, I wish we would communicate more. I wish we spent more time together. I wish you would respond to me more quickly. Things like that. Those very simple requests can come across as controlling, that you are trying to assert power and control over the avoidant, and their defensive shell will come up. These very simple requests can seem quite reasonable to a person that is not walled off, a person that is emotionally available. Because a person that's emotionally available will hear this feedback and make adjustments because they are concerned about their partner's wants and needs. However, avoidants are hypersensitive to criticism and control. And because of their deep insecurities, they feel unlovable at their core and they feel defective. They become hyper-focused on themselves and self-absorbed in a relationship. It's not that they're trying to neglect the other person, it's just that the avoidant is only considering themselves because they are so wrapped up in whatever it is that they perceive that they want or need in the moment. It becomes selfish. They don't intend to hurt, but they're not really considering their partner. Now, these very simple requests can be met with stonewalling. They can distance, pull back, deactivate. This is how the avoidant protects themselves when they feel like they're being smothered and controlled. They take their emotions, they take their feelings for their partner, and they bury them, they stuff them. They don't allow themselves to access those feelings anymore because this is how the avoidant has learned to keep themselves safe, by avoiding emotions, by avoiding reflecting on their own fears, by avoiding processing any of it. They self-soothe by taking distance and just avoiding the problem. So they are very sensitive to this feeling of being controlled. And even though you feel like you are being diplomatic, you're using I statements instead of you, these very simple things can still come across as critical controlling to the avoidant. And ultimately, if you are doing your part to do non-judgmental, non-critical communication, that you are effectively communicating your wants and needs, and this person is still shutting down and feeling controlled, that is not your fault. Do not blame yourself. If you are being healthy and behaving in a healthy manner and this person is still shutting down, that is a reflection of their unhealed attachment wounds. It's a reflection of their unhealed traumas. It's also a reflection of their hyper self-absorption. But it's not a reflection of you or anything you did wrong. It's still very frustrating and it's still very painful because you essentially are being emotionally neglected by the avoidant because they are so wrapped up in themselves that through their actions, they are showing you that your wants and needs are really not that important to them. And if they are unwilling to show any effort in this area and they shut down every time you express your wants and needs, or even worse, end the relationship because you had very simple requests, ask yourself, is a person that is that sensitive to feedback, a person that is that unwilling to make any compromise or effort in the relationship, Is that really a person you want to be in a relationship with, especially if they are not working on themselves? Is that really someone that's worth waiting around for? Ask yourself that question. Are they showing evidence that they're taking charge of it? Or are they continuing to stick their head in the sand and pull away every time you express yourself in a healthy manner? It's an important question to ask yourself.